continue to look at how you can save your marriage, and the question today is, why should I save my marriage? We've already answered the question of why marriages fail and whether a marriage can be saved, and the question now becomes personal. Why should you save your marriage? My name is Lee Balcom, and I'm the Internet's leading marriage expert. You ought to know that this is a very good question, and it's very important to answer, because if you don't have this in your mind, it's going to be tough to follow through on what you need to do in order to save your marriage. Now, marriages often don't happen. That's one of the reasons why I say that you should save your marriage, is because divorces just don't really actually happen. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Also, number 2, children are harmed by divorces. Number 3, financially, it is a crippling situation to go through a divorce. And finally, number 4, it is emotionally very painful to go through a divorce. Now, let's look at each of those one at a time. First of all, what I say is divorces don't really happen, and this is what I mean. Divorces don't happen because many couples only change their relationship, the state of their relationship. They don't end it. Emotionally, they continue the same struggles they've had all the way through, and sexually, sometimes couples find themselves back to kind of a safe point, and so in lots of ways, they stay married even if legally they have divorced, and that's why I mean the relationship doesn't really change and a divorce doesn't really happen. And then let's face it, with children involved, you're in a relationship for life, whether you like it or not. You're going to have to get along with each other. You're going to have to relate to each other, because there are going to be different ways, even if it's about parenting that child, that you're going to have to communicate. Then later on, it's going to be about being together at various points or losing out on being together in those various points. So lots of ways, divorces just don't really happen for lots of couples. Also, children are harmed by divorce. There's no way around this. The studies that have shown otherwise have been disproven. We now know that children are harmed by divorce. As President Reagan's son Michael said, divorce is where two adults take everything that matters to a child, the child's home, family, security, and sense of being loved and protected, and then smash it all up, leave it in ruins on the floor, and then walk out and leave the child to clean up the mess. This is the reality of what happens when children are involved in a divorce. They are harmed. Also, it is financially crippling. Here are some statistics. First of all, the average final cost of a divorce in the U.S., that's the average final cost of a divorce in the U.S., is $20,000 to $30,000. That's not based on the fact that maybe an attorney said, well, they need a $3,000 retainer. Trust me when I tell you, that's the beginning point. In a divorce, the only people who come out well financially are the attorneys. This is a huge net loss now and ongoing. Think about taking everything that you're worth, that you've accumulated in your marriage, and dividing it in half right off the bat. You're half worth what you were right before the divorce. And it's ongoing. It doesn't change because you have to rebuild. Not only that, there's a huge impact on retirement and other issues down the road that we don't really think about because we're so busy trying to get out of the marriage. And unfortunately, this is not something that's talked about very well by, say, divorce attorneys, because their job is to make money by helping people get divorced, not keeping them together. It's also emotionally painful. The process of coming together is mirrored by the process of coming apart. What it's like to come together and all that love and all that flow of good feeling, put it in reverse. Whatever it took to put you together, it's going to feel the same in reverse. As high as it was, it's going to be that low in coming apart, just because that's the nature of us psychologically trying to separate from the other person, because in reality, it's taking an entity, the entity of the marriage, and tearing it in two. And when you tear something in two, it's going to be painful. Now, merely not divorcing is not a solution. You may get to this point and you say, okay, well, then we'll just kind of stay together and make do, and I'll just give up on the marriage, but we just won't get divorced. That's not a solution, because long-term resentment builds and destroys. The longer you're with someone you don't want to be with, the more that resentment begins to grow and grow and grow, tearing away whatever's left of the relationship, and more than that, destroying your health and probably your spouse's health at the same time. It's just the nature of resentment. Our bodies are not designed to be stuck in resentment mode for very long without doing some real long-term damage. Also, your overall pleasure in life is reduced if you choose this. You may try to live a separate life, but I can tell you from watching couples do this, it just doesn't work. in the end, you end up paying a very high cost for trying to stay together without divorcing and without fixing things. After that, hopelessness and futility settle in, and once that happens, you can imagine how much drudgery it is to try to continue on through your life when you just don't feel like there's any other choice. Now, there are solutions. You can save your marriage, and if you want to learn more about saving your marriage and you want to subscribe to my free email e-course, that's in addition to these videos. It gives you information that's not in these videos, and these videos give you information that's not in the e-course, so you want to grab both. You want to go to www.savethemarriage.com. That's www.savethemarriage.com.